we're here at last. We made it. Sorry for the delays. Thank you for your patience, and we are ready to play some D&D. My name is Scott. I go by Wiley Hobbit on the Twitches and Twitters, and I'll be your dungeon master and host of this evening's game. And let's go around the horn here real quick. We'll go ladies first. Ronvin, tell us a little bit about yourself, your character. Fill us in.
Well, I'm Vivacia, and this is how you find me all around the place. And I'm playing Ronvin, the baby artificer who is still so excited that she now got her power armor.
Nice. Great. All right.
Also, she doesn't like spiders.
Turns out, right? Yeah. We seem to have an issue with spiders in this game. I don't know what it is. I'll have to speak to the powers that be about that. Our other female character, Fragile.
Yeah, I am Fragile Jamkasi, or my character is, I'm actually Mike or Buckethead Clunk, depending on whether you're talking to me or look for me on social media. And I am the Raven Queen's favorite daughter. And I'm along for the adventure.
All right. And the other female character, Calivera.
Hi, I'm Paige. I play Galavera. She is a Fire Ganassi Grave Domain cleric who has her work cut out for her and has ended up coming along with this group of people that really she's only met a couple weeks ago, if that.
I guess it hasn't
And you
been
know
that
what?
long.
I guess it hasn't been that long. I guess she's here for the adventure. Yay! Nothing like a couple spider fights to really have fun.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a vibe off of this group, like you don't like spiders or something. I don't know what the problem
It's
is.
almost like they almost one shot me in the first combat we ever had. Almost.
Yeah.
That could be. Yeah, that could be what it is. Great. All right, let's drop in and see the gentleman of the group. Rue.
Everyone, I'm Andrew, aka Fellowship of the Tables, and I am playing Rushahar tonight, your friendly merchant arms dealer.
That's true.
Arms. Wow, man, you kind of keep changing, don't you? Yeah. Okay. Very
I'll
good.
keep
And
you on
then,
your toes.
last but not least, Gears. Dave.
Hey, I'm Dave. Hey Wilson on most of the social medias. I'm playing Gears, the Warforged fighter. They're simple, but they're here to protect their squishy friends because, well, their friends are squishy. But apparently they let spiders get between them and the blades, so that's not always a good thing. You have to learn some people how to dodge.
Right. We do not have our friend Manny this evening. He's a little under the weather, so we'll soldier on without him at the table. And since we got a late start, let's just get into this thing, shall we? So the party is actually off the planet. They've left their home world where Faerun and Toril are, and they've been transported to Mystara, to the Black Claw Mountain. They're returning an artifact that does not belong on Toril or in Faerun, and they're returning it back to Mystara because that apparently is where the artifact is from. And so last session they arrived in a vast cavern inside of this huge mountain, Black Claw Mountain. And this cavern is made up of a couple of things of note. There's a great city, old city called Shadow Reach that is now apparently in ruins from years and years of abandonment and left to the, to the wiles of the Undermountain. And they find themselves in Shadow Reach, and they're making their way toward a place that they're actually trying to get to, and that's Deep Delver's Enclave, which is a small kind of village settlement by a description of the mage who sent them here. That is located on this 100-foot high promontory that overlooks the ruins of Shadow Reach in this dark, vast cavern. And it's hard to even tell distance, really, like how far across is the cavern. It's a long, long way. Maybe a couple of miles. It's big. It's dark. And not long after they arrived, they came across what looked like a body kind of laying up against this building. And as they went to inspect it, a spider manifested itself over the body and began trying to wrap it with its silk threads. And they attacked the spider attacked them, the spider vanished, the spider came back, but wait, that was a different spider, and they killed that spider, and then the other spider came back, and then they started getting plinked with crossbow bolts from somewhere in the building. And long story short, they ended up taking down 2 of these giant, blinky, weird spiders. They took down a drow that was shooting at them. And in doing so, they rescued the body. They found out the body was still alive. And the body belongs to a fellow by the name of Galeth Leothana, an elf, who described himself as a scout / mercenary, kind of on the payroll to help defend and scout for Deep Delver's Enclave. And so Galeth was leading the party back to, or on to Deep Delver's Enclave when they were surrounded by a group of individuals who look much like the handsome chap that you see there in the overlay with the big king's knife, all serrated and nasty and spiky hair. And so there are 6 of them. One of them looks a little different, a little larger even, if you can imagine. And that's where we're going to open our scene right now. They are surrounded. Their kind of backs are up against a dark building. It is very dark here. Party, what would you like to do as you're standing in front of these 6 dudes? They're probably 4 feet high, 4'2". Their skin is this stony gray. Just crazy looking dudes. And I think one of them actually kind of croaked at you. Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
We live here. I am
Passing
Why did you
through.
shoot at us?
I am Kakt Drarlun, warlord. And if anybody happens to, like, roll perception, anybody who maybe glances or sees Galeth.
$23. Dirty.
Oh, 18. Oh, did someone say 30?
23.
Oh.
Dirty.
Also a 23.
Yeah, you
Just
kind of see the color run out of Galeth's face, and his almond-shaped, goldish, silvery eyes kind of widen as this character introduces himself as Kakdrarlun, warlord.
Careful with that.
So Mr. Dwarloon, if you're the warlord, who are you at war with?
Anyone who comes through our territory here. So apparently you.
No, we're just passing through. We didn't even know this was your territory.
What languages do we have?
Celestial, Common, and Dwarvish.
Okay.
That's me.
Common, dwarf, and elf. That's Gears.
Calavera?
Celestial, Common, Elvish, and Sylvan.
Okay.
Common, Goblin, Halfling, and Thieves' Cat.
Common, Primordial, and Sylvan.
Okay.
We're
So
all over the place.
anybody who speaks Dwarvish hears him kind of bark over at his fellows. Keep an eye on them. Don't let them out of your sight. Don't let them through our ranks. And the rest of you just hear, in Dwarvish. And then he changes languages and says something to Galeth in some guttural, very consonant, harsh, attacky sounding kind of language, like German but angry, right, Mara? It's like angry German.
That's
Yeah.
redundant.
Yeah. And Galeth replies in kind in the same language. But when Galeth speaks, it almost has it's still very phonetic and has hard edges and consonant, almost like Klingon if you're a Star Trek person. But when Galeth speaks back in the language, it almost sounds a little musical, because elf. And then he looks over at the party and says, we owe them a toll, I'm afraid. And he kind of opens his pouch and starts fishing around. See, and as he's talking to you guys, Kakdralun kind of stands back and folds his arms and, like, very impressed with things.
So common thugs, is that it?
Maybe not common. Exactly. But they keep this way clear of drow, orcs, hobgoblins. And you can see these guys, their weapons are notched. There's dried blood here and there. This isn't
Well, I guess they don't take care of spiders.
the welcome
How
wagon.
much do they want?
50 gold or a gem of
Well, I still have one of those
that
topaz.
value. And he starts counting coin. And then he speaks something back to him in that guttural language. It's just ugly to listen to. Just, And he speaks back, and they're almost like spitting on each other.
Because I still have that topaz we found in that cave in the beginning. Before the crowbar, right? Or was it after the crowbar? I don't remember.
What?
Well, do we get an estimated value on it?
Well, because I put it in here and it says 500, but it wasn't 500. It was less. So it must have been at least 50. Because that was when we were in that cave where we all just plopped down and started identifying stuff.
Right. Yeah. Oh boy, that was a while back.
Galeth
Yeah,
looks
that
at
was a
all of
while
you,
back.
sees you hesitating and looking at each other quizzically. You do mean to pay the man, don't you?
Yes, we're just trying to see what is best to give him.
I would highly recommend doing so.
I mean, I can give him the topaz. That should be enough.
What do you have?
I have a gemstone. It's a topaz, and she just points it out.
And as you hold that up to Galeth, Kakdralun leans in. His face kind of lights up.
I turn to Fragile and I say, are we really going to do this?
Well, I'm not really good on bullies. It's not really my strong point.
That topaz would do nicely. He looks and he starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
You're going to have to
Right,
take
you can get
your
past
shoes
3.
off?
He's not that bad, but he's kind of counting you up. 7. Let me see it.
Okay.
And he takes it from your hand and looks at it. You know how you can tell the difference between somebody who knows what they're looking at and someone who's trying to look like they know what they're looking at? This guy knows what he's looking at. Yes, this will
as much as this plus 2 sheep.
this will do. This will do nicely. In fact, if you agree to this, if we see you here again, there won't be trouble for you. You have made friends.
Free pass. I get it.
And he hands it back to you and there's a. I mean, he smells bad. He's abrasive. He's not expecting you to say no, but there's a certain gentleman's decorum that he's kind of following, even though it seems rather nasty and abrasive. Like he gives it back to you to let you, the 6, 7 of you, decide whether or not you want to give it as your toll. And he kind of leans back, and the other 5 of these guys are just staring you down, almost expressionless, stone-faced.
I'm very much into giving this to him so that we don't have to pay next time, and we don't want this place overrun either. We come back and they're not here no more. We got to fight everything on our way out.
Your gem.
Yep. So she hands it over and she thanks him in Dwarvish.
Aha. You know the sweet tongue, then, he says back in Dwarvish. Lovely. Well met indeed. And he offers a kind of a grimy... You know, these guys are dusty and they smell like sweat, and he offers you a gauntleted hand.
Yeah, she clasps it since she's wearing her power armor anyways. Not going to get all that dirty.
Katralun, friend. You must be leader.
Yes.
You are quite wise. What of
Thank
this?
you.
Speaking in Dwarvish?
He's back to common. What of this armor you wear? He seems to be interested in your armor.
And she's going to be like, oh, this old thing, I did that myself.
Just a little something I threw on at the last minute.
This old thing,
You
nothing special.
You fashioned this yourself.
Yes. I learned from one of the best, and I forgot his name again. I wrote it down for you. I actually wrote down both names. Okay, so that is Yardok Crackshield. This is my uncle, and my father is Tadeo Oldenburg. So Yardok Crackshield taught me everything I know about armor.
He's looking at you, and then he looks at the other guys, and they're all like, I don't know who that is, but it's fine.
It's a dwarven name.
Well, yes, it's fine, male.
Yes. Learned at his feet when I was yay tall.
Oh, you've learned well.
Thank you very much.
Well, if you're back through this way, this part of the cavern, just know that we'll be watching and we'll have your back. This is
I very much appreciate that.
a fine stone indeed. More
she's
than
going to
enough.
point back for where she came from, and she said, we did run into 2 face spiders and a drow back there, so there might something be coming from that way.
Where did you see drow? How far along?
That far.
It was. I think it was a couple of hours that you took to get to this point. Galeth steps up and, in that language again, begins gesturing, and and they have this earnest conversation about.
They might still be coming this way.
Good to know. You may pass. And they kind of break ranks when he nods at them. You notice the other ones kind of followed along when he was speaking Dwarvish or when he was speaking that other language, but they weren't. They were just kind of glazed over when you all were talking in common.
Okay. Right.
I'm curious, and he looks at Galeth, who, by the way, put his coin back in his pouch, and looks at the rest of you. You don't look like you're not. Where are you from, if I may ask? Apparently, he's found his manners now that you've weighed his pouch down a bit.
Not from here.
Not really your business. You've finished your thuggery. Move along.
Oh, I assure
Don't be
you,
rude.
this is not thuggery, it's a toll. And this is what we do. If we were not here, this would be impassable. And the guys all kind of nod.
You say potato.
Kind of gives you the hairy eyeball and stands back. Very well. On your way.
And then Bronwyn is kind of grabbing them and like, we're leaving now. Shh. No
Galeth
more
says
talking.
something brief in that language and kind of leads you back up to the boulevard, and you continue eastward toward the promontory, and you leave the 6 individuals. Quickly, you lose sight of them in the darkness of the cavern. Are we going to stay in the same marching order you were using as last time? Let me see if I think it was
Yep.
Al.
Works for me.
Was it Al and Rue up front, Gears and Calavera, and then
No,
I
I
thought
said
Rue
Ronvin
moved
and
back
Fragile.
after he got the shit beat out of him. I might be remembering wrong.
yes, I was staying back some.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. It was Al and
Hello,
Ronvin,
we're
Rue and
subtle.
Fragile, Gears and Calavera. And then Galeth was kind of out front leading.
Fragile was at the back because she has dark vision as well. So she was watching our 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I got dark vision.
So you continue onward in the darkness, and as you make your way ever so slowly over the broken boulevard, here and there stone columns have fallen. There's rock, there's dust, debris, bones, spider webs, gnarled, petrified old tree bits. Another, good hour of trudging along, and you find yourselves. You know how have you ever been to like the Rocky Mountains or any large mountain range, and like the closer you get, it seems like you're getting further away? Because it looks like you're not that far, and then you drive a while and you're still really far, and you drive a while longer and you're still really far. It's kind of that sort of a sensation as you finally get to this large, huge cliff face, and it's all of 100 feet up, and you see the glow, and you can actually make out some twinkly lights, and from torches and various means, and you're actually in front of a path that looks very well worn, very well tended, and it goes up the face of this 100-foot high cliff, and it's just a big stone monolith promontory cliff face, and the path just kind of switchbacks, so it kind of goes parallel right, then parallel left and up, and then right and up the front of this cliff face. And Galeth stops and looks at you all. Are you ready to see the Enclave? That is where you were going, correct?
It is.
Because
yes.
it is just above. You'll be safe with me. Just keep your weapons sheathed. You will not need them here. And he had
Will
had
these
his.
be a problem?
I'm sorry.
Will these be a problem? I kind of hold up my armful of.
He looks at you. I hadn't noticed all of the. Do you normally travel with so many weapons? And may I?
No,
And he
but,
reaches for one of the long swords in the fancy scabbard. May I?
Certainly.
And he
We brought these
pulls the-
just to sell as wares.
Oh, okay. He pulls the blade out, just 6 inches out, and looks. Oh, these are fine blades. Beautiful scabbard as well. You brought these with you, I presume?
We did.
Oh, you won't have any trouble fetching top coin for these. They're beautiful. And he hands it back to you. Just keep everything sheathed. Keep your bows. Anyone with a bow, keep it on your back. His bow is on his back. His short sword is now in its sheath at his belt. He had been carrying the short sword. All right. Let us ascend and join in celebration. And he begins leading you up the switchback, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And does anybody have that sense underground? What is that, stone sense or stone cunning? I think the dwarves have. Does anybody have any of that sort of where you can maintain your direction, sense of direction? Nothing? Okay.
Not I.
Okay. So he leads you up the switchback, and it takes about 15 minutes to climb this thing. It's fairly steep in places, but it is probably 3 humans wide. Like a small cart could even go up and down with a small draw animal of some kind, a small horse or something. And as you get to the top of this and look out over the ruins, it's really hard to see any detail. It's just a vat of blackness because now you have light behind you on the plateau here. But you kind of get a feel for the immensity of this cavern. Because if any of you look up, you'll see that you still can't really see the ceiling unless you look up directly above the enclave itself where the lighting is. But even the dim light doesn't capture the full ceiling. You can see maybe 60 feet up before it starts to fuzz out. So the ceiling of this cavern is way up there. You make out a few huge stalactites hanging from the ceiling. I can't remember if it's tights or mites. You can see like the tips of them. Stalactites from the ceiling? Okay, thank you.
Yep. Hang
Okay.
on tight to stalactite. You might step on a stalagmite.
Do you have inspiration, Calavera?
I think I know I have at least one. I don't know if I have two.
Okay, well, make sure your sheet says 2, because
somewhere.
as a personal thank you for that little mnemonic device, I've never heard that before. Hang on tight, or you might...
I heard that like a week ago.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. So as you make your way up this path, you get closer to the top, and you can actually smell food cooking. Which seems weird because the enclave is up there a ways, but because you've been in this cavern for most of a day and it's been just dark and dusty and black and grimy, the food is almost shocking to your senses. It smells so good, like spiced potatoes and onions and roasted meats, and even the smell. You swear you'd smell coffee on the wind. And you get up to the top of this path, and there's actually 2 on either side of the path as it comes level to the plateau. And as you get up there, now you can make out the roofs of a few buildings. You can see some huge stone columns that go up and disappear into the ceiling. You can see a few strange, like, finger-looking, clawed, spiked stone metal things sticking up here and there. And then these rooftops of various buildings. And on either side of this stoneway that goes on to the plateau where the enclave is a 3-story wooden guard, what you would assume to be a guard shack. There doesn't appear to be any means of getting into it because the first level is open and they're on stilts. And then it's like a 2-story building on top of the stilts, and there doesn't appear to be any way in, but both are lit, and you can see shadows moving about in each of them.
just gonna follow our friend Galeth.
Okay. Welcome to the Enclave. And he walks through without even regarding the towers, the guard towers. And there are walkways way up at the, like where the third floor would be, that you could cross across to either tower. And he doesn't even give him a thought. And you all walk in, and the pathway kind of veers to the left. Straight kind of in front of you, almost 1 o'clock, is a huge stone column. Looks to be made of the same stuff as the cliff face. Very, very dark, tight crystalline type rock. Maybe a granite type thing. But the pathway itself veers left. And you see on the left side of the road on that path what must be a tavern. You see there's an open air second story balcony. It's a wooden framed structure. Cheerful music flows out of the windows, out of the open door. There's these lanterns that are formed from what looks like these huge skulls that hang in the second story balcony open area. You can see shadows of people, and you can hear voices and carousing and so forth. And the whole enclave itself, all these dwellings and buildings are, you see torches and what look to be maybe magical globes of light and various means. And there are a few people here and there moving about, but it would seem that this particular dwelling is chocked full to the rafters with revelers. And there's an open balcony on the second floor, and then there's a third floor above it. And it sits right on the edge of the cliff, overlooking the path, the switchback path, and overlooking the ruins. And then the path, there's a dwelling across the path from it, and then there are more dwellings beyond. And Galeth looks back at you. I hope you're ready to celebrate. And he kind of smiles.
What are we celebrating?
We are celebrating. Where is it? Hang on. We're definitely celebrating something. I lost what we're celebrating. Bear with me.
A spider souffle.
We are celebrating the Feast for the Returned. A large exploration party was slated to return this morning. And whenever a group comes back from the depths or the mountain itself or one of the caverns deep within Blackclaw, we celebrate with a great feast and stories and reveling and drinking. And so the Feast of the Returned.
Did they actually come back?
Well, the feast is going, so I would assume so, but let's go see.
Oh, just checking. I mean,
And he leads
if you
you.
were planning and had all that food, it'd be a shame to go to waste, even if they didn't show back up.
Indeed it would. Indeed it would. And he leads you down the path and then up the path to the front of the tavern. And you see a sign hanging above the open door. And it's a wooden, typical tavern sign, right? And it's got a carved image in it of a lute, kind of at an angle across the sign. And believe it or not, you hear lute music and singing and dancing is going on. And Galeth walks into the Lucky Lute Tavern because above the sign and the lute it says the Lucky Lute.
I guess the worst we could do is get a drink. There's not probably something good to eat in here too if they're having a fest.
The food smells good. I bet they have the best potatoes down here.
Potatoes.
So are you guys going into the Lucky Lute?
Sure.
And by lute is spelled L-U-T-E, not L-O-O-T. For those of you who like the shinies.
And the puns.
Yes. So you enter the Lucky Lute. And you see beyond it what looks to be another, maybe an inn or tavern. It looks to be another 3-story building that is right beside and almost built into another stone pillar. And as you look, you could see twinkles of light, like windows, in this stone pillar as it ascends well into the air. And you enter the Lucky Loot Tavern, and you see there are a couple of bars in there, numerous tables, and they're all kind of situated around a central stage upon which you see a statue of a dancing halfling who looks to be thrilled, just this overabundance of expression on his face as he's playing a lute. And give me perception. Anybody who wishes to kind of scan the room.
That's not bad.
5.
19 for gears.
10. She's distracted by the food. Totally.
Yeah, that's all Fragile can think about. Who else got a perception roll there?
14.
18.
All right, so Gears and Rue and Calavera, as you begin to look around,
That's 2 good perception rolls in a row for
it's
you.
nicely done.
Oh,
Yes.
no, I beefed the last one. I got a 9.
You had one good one last session.
There's a large crowd here, and you see humans, dwarves, elves, maybe half-elves, halflings, half-orcs. You see a number of just a very wide variety of humans and demi-humans. There's probably 60 or more people in here, and there was a handful on the upper balcony, and you can see light coming from upstairs and the stairway that goes up. And they're drinking and hoisting, tankards and goblets, and you see a big spread of food laid out at one end of the tap room, and there looks to be some carcass of roast something, and all manner of side, rasher of bacon. There's potatoes, carrots, all manner of things, fruit, cheeses, dried meats, bread, and you see a large table where a party of 8 people are sitting around it, and they're clearly telling stories and regaling, and people are kind of, oh wow. And what strikes you odd is there's even children here who they're not drinking, but they're part of the celebration. And from your internal clock that it's late, right? You arrived in Shadowreach. It was the morning of 30 Flame Rule when you departed Faerun. And it has to be late 30 Flame Rule, maybe the wee hours of midsummer as you arrive in the Lucky Loot. And for those of you who rolled above a 15 on perception, you notice the strings of the lute are moving as if they're being played, and the music seems to be emanating from this lute. So very interesting there.
Okay. Auto loop. Loot.
So what do? You see a few people working behind the bar. There are servers.
Yeah, Ronvin is heading straight for that loot. She has to see if that is, clockwork or if that's magic.
Okay. Yeah. So again, it's a statue. It's a stone statue of a halfling. And it's frozen in... But the lute itself is playing. And you can see the strings vibrating. But nothing is there to vibrate the strings. No mechanical anything, no mechanism behind it. The halfling's not moving or plucking or strumming, yet the strings reverberate with a joyous song of celebration. It's kind of like the D&D equivalent of going on in here. The place is kind of thumping. I'm picturing those Saturday Night Live guys.
Does it seem like this place is an inn as well as a tavern? Like they would have rooms?
It's hard to tell. It is 3 stories, but it's hard to tell. You did see the big balcony above. Those could be apartments. It could be rooms. It could be the owner's quarters. You're just not sure. But yes, you have walked into a significant celebration. And
Yay.
you see moving about behind the bar, looks to be kind of in charge of things. What looks to be kind of good nature, fairly stout, big smile on their face. Looks like maybe a half elf, dressed in what you would expect a tavern person to be wearing. Decent trousers and a blousey top. And when they see you, you see them see you, like they're looking in your direction, and then they motion to the bar. And they're saying something, but again, you can't
Yeah.
accept loot.
Do we go over there? You think we go over there?
I'm going over. I want a drink.
Taters.
Well, and a drink.
And they gotta tell me about that loot because that is a stone statue.
I really want to put all of these things down somewhere. I would like to get a room.
And maybe we should be figuring out what we are doing with, those super secret thing that we're carrying around. Like, this is a lot of people, and I don't really like having it out here around a lot of people.
Galeth, does this place have rooms? Do you know?
Galeth is not
Anywhere to be
standing
seen.
next to you anymore. He seems to have been swallowed by the
Oh my
Crowd.
god, we lost Galeth.
Well, I guess we're going up to the bar then.
Where's the intercom? We will call for Galeth. We will find him.
paging Galeth
To the bar, Galen.
Leothana. Galeth Leothana, please report to the bar. Yeah, so you make your way up to the
He owes
bar.
a drink.
And you hear, and the person beckoning you is, again, you get there and you very clearly see that they are half-elf. Gender is indeterminable. It doesn't look like they're presenting either way. And they smile. Welcome to the Lucky Loot. Free drinks for all of you. I've never seen you here before. I'm Cloud Willowspur, and my husband, Bert, is here somewhere.
My husband.
At any rate,
What's his name?
Bert. Bert is his name. He's a human. He's probably hammering something together or some such. But anyway, what would you like to drink? Welcome.
What do you got?
Yes. We have lots of things. We have wine. We have ales. Do you like a stout dwarven ale? Do you like a
I
fruity,
like a sweet red.
a sweet red wine. Very nice, very nice. And for you, miss, and he looks at Calavera.
This is a lot of options. Is there anything that you think is very good that I should try?
We have a lovely mead that is pressed from our local mushrooms. I know mushrooms, but as a drink, I know. But and then you see them fuss behind the bar a little bit as they're talking, and they pull up a little wooden cup for you and say, here, try this. Just try it.
She gives it a try. And there's just kind of a moment where she's like,
I know.
I'm starting to feel like a traditionalist.
I know mushrooms. What do you think?
I have to make a character decision now. Does my character like mushrooms? It is
This tastes.
interesting, I think. I've not.
It tastes earthy, and there's a fruit and a grain in there. It's got the earthiness of like mushrooms and thyme, but there's a graininess like wheat and some sort of fruit, and it's a mead. It's thick. What do you think? Not particularly strong alcoholically speaking, but you could tell there's a little bit in there.
I think Calavera will be okay having some more.
Very well.
It's not quite the same as the mint wine, but it's decent.
Mint wine. Oh, that's an idea. Thank you, dearie. And they kind of smile.
It is. We came from a place that has it, and it is delicious.
Oh, maybe you could.
We have some if you would like to try it, perhaps.
Oh, well, I don't have time now, but let me get you your drinks and maybe later or tomorrow if are you gonna be in the Enclave? I assume you just arrived.
We did. We're probably staying here for a little bit longer. Do you know if there's any places that we could have a room to stay?
Oh, yes. Right next door, actually. Up here, these are apartments here. Bert and I live here, and some of the
Okay.
residents of the Enclave. But if you go to the Raven's Claw Inn, right beside us, they have rooms in the building. But also, did you notice that big spire behind it? Those are windows, and you could get a room way up 50 feet above the roof of the inn. My sister Mila, she runs that place, so you can get a room there. They always have lots of rooms.
What to remember to go. Thank you so very, very, very much.
And they
Did you
they
say
pour
Raven's Claw?
you the Raven's Claw Inn. They pour you a nice mead. They pour a very rich looking red wine for Jilly. And they look at Ronvin. What could we get for you?
Milk?
Milk coming right up. Goat's milk. Okay, I hope.
Yes.
Very nice. Good. And they pour a.
Fragility's mood is going to be noticeably lightened hearing that there's an inn called Raven's Claw.
Right.
She was still pretty put out by the very surly, I don't even know what they were, little men that we met outside, and having to pay anybody a toll. But wine and knowing that there's some place called the Ravens Inn, she's in a pretty good mood now.
Nice. Good. I'm glad your mood has brightened. So they get a nice carved wooden cup of milk for Ronvin, and then they turn and look at Gears. And what could I get for you? Roll perception, Gears.
30.
Nothing? That is fine. You do get a complimentary drink. All newcomers get a complimentary drink. What you got there?
It's a natural one.
Natural one. Okay. It is painfully obvious to you that this individual, they did not bat an eyelash at you like many, many others do. Like, even though you rolled a 1 and there's no critical fail on like a nat 1 on an ability check, but even though you only rolled a 1, it was very clear to you that this individual did not like look twice or try to figure out unfazed. And then they turn and look at. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was cool. That's
Oh, okay.
That's just amusing to me.
Just wanted to point that out. They turn and look in the direction of Rue. And you, what can I get for you? We have ale, we have fruit juices, we have honey, like a honey mead. We have the mushroom mead. So good, isn't it right, sweetie? And she they look at Calavera, and Calavera's already lost in her mead. So what can we get for you?
I think just some ale for me, but I'd like to come back for it. I would like to put these things down first.
And they lean across the bar. Oh my, what have you there? That's a lot of weapons. Do you always travel so well armed?
Well, no, these are my wares. I'm a merchant. We have other fine things from where we come from.
Oh, well,
We thought we
indeed.
would-
You'll fit in nicely here. Merchants go over very well here in the Enclave. You'll have to visit tomorrow. You'll have to visit the bazaar, and perhaps you could ply your wares. But by the looks of those scabbards, I'd say Balon and Ruth Willowmane and maybe Agrora will be interested in seeing those items. And so, an ale. Would you like a light, pale ale, or would you like something more stout, say dwarven?
I think we'll start with a light ale.
Very well.
See
They
where
get-
the night goes.
They fetch a clean tankard and pour it. Nice thick head on it. Very white head that doesn't have that darkness that you would get from a stout. The tap room is pretty full. You're welcome to stand here at the bar or just work your way around, but you'll find everyone to be quite friendly. We're always so thrilled when newcomers come, especially on the Feast of the Returned.
So who were the return this time? Are they partying in here with you?
And they lean across over somebody's head, and, like up on their tiptoes and point. See that group in the corner? You sort of pass them on your way in around that large table. There's 8 of them there. They made an expedition, a 2-week expedition, deep into the mountain, and they've returned with stories and treasures and the like, and so that's why we're celebrating Feast of the Returned.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
so there's lots of treasures in your mountain?
oh, goodness me. You've not been here before, have you? Blacklaw Mountain is full of
Gave it away.
mysteries and treasures and relics and all manner of wonderful, dangerous, of course, but yes, oh yes, yes. If you like adventure and shiny things and magics and mysteries, well, you've come to a wonderful place.
Well, this is good to know. So, did the new people have any extraordinary stories?
Well, I'm much too busy as I'm the owner of this fine establishment. I suppose I could have told you that. I was just so happy to see you, and then I'm always happy to hook someone on the mushroom mead.
Someone.
Well, your friend there seems to be rather lost in her cup, as is often the case, of course. I assure you it will not cause any undue harm unless you drink a lot.
It's not some kind of addictive, is it?
It tastes really good. But I promise you that your friend will be fine. Happy. Very happy. But fine.
Well, I do like it when my friends are happy. Oh, go ahead, Rue. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna kind of try to hitch all the swords into one arm and take a deep draft of the ale.
If you'd like, we could put those in a side room for you for now while you rest your feet. I'm sure you're tired from travel and the like. I know that must seem like a kind of a crazy notion since you just got here and you don't know me from anyone, but I'll tell you what.
I look at
And they pull a pouch from behind the bar and they set it down with a heavy chink on the bar. And they push it towards you. You hold that, and I'll hold those. And I think it's safe to say, and they kind of down their body, not in good shape, a little stout for a half-elf. I think it's safe to say that I'm not going to be needing any of those weapons anytime soon. And when you bring that back, you can have your wares. And then you see this rather slender male, probably 6'5", pretty slender, receding hairline, stop by, and they kind of grab him and pull them into them, arm around. Meet my husband, Bert. And they kind of snuggle up real close, and they kind of tweak his chin and ruffle his balding hair. And Bert's like, hello, welcome to the Loot. I trust you find everything to your liking. And he seems incredibly introverted and a little uncomfortable at, not unused to it, but, that, oh, geez, really, kind of thing.
You know what? I think I will take you up on your kind offer. And I will plunk down my armful of everything on the bar.
Bert's like, whoa. And Cloud looks at Bert. Please, dear, if you would, take these to the storage room in the back behind the pantry. And he kind of sighs like this is not the first time. Yes, dear. And he picks him up.
Thank you, Bert.
He does lean in, and he nods at you and smiles. My pleasure. And then he leans in and gives them a kiss on the cheek, kind of awkwardly. And he makes off behind the bar and through a doorway into the back with all of your armory of weapons. He's such a sweet man. I don't know what I'd do without him, but he's not much for people. And they just kind of smile. Well,
I'm gonna plop down. Is there a seat at the bar? Or,
there's
or
some
is it
seats and so
standing
forth. Yeah,
room?
yeah. You could probably get yourself seated at the bar, or you could find a table. There's, a lot of people are like standing and milling around. So if you were to go to a table, it feels like you could probably score a table for the 6 of you.
Well, I want to sit down here and take a look at this pouch.
Okay. So you open the pouch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you open the pouch, and it's a, it's a nice. I don't know if you can see that very well with my green screen. It's a nice size
It's full of
pouch,
dice.
and it's heft. And you open up, and there's all manner of gold coin in there, quite a bit. You don't know if it would be worth what you could sell your weapons for, but it's not. I mean, it's a nice bit of collateral. Like immediately, you're like, okay, I feel better about this. Like I'd really like my stuff back, but
Fair enough.
if worse comes to worse,
Yeah.
yeah. So. So what does
I
the
think
party
for
do?
one thing, Gears is going to heave the small barrel of wine up on the bar and just leave it there. Someone's got to figure out what to do with it.
You can't just leave. We have plans for that later, I think. You can't just let people take it. Although it is probably kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, is it big enough that if we find a table for Jilly, can use it as her chair?
Probably.
Yeah, it's like a
Well,
pony keg.
well, maybe because the person at the bar, they said that they would be interested in trying it. So maybe then we're trying to do a trade thing, right?
Yes.
So maybe we could get them interested in trading. And since they said they're too busy to right now, maybe they would keep it in the back and we could also come back for that. And then, so that way we aren't carrying it around or something. I don't know. There's a lot of people here and I don't want to be in the way.
You see Cloud bustling and hustling back, behind the bar, and then they kind of stop and look at you, and they look at the
food.
they look at the
After food,
cask.
I want to go to bed.
They look at the cask. Is that the mint wine?
Yes, it is.
Why don't I put it with the swords? And before you have a
That would
chance, I'm sorry?
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, so they kind of get an arm around it and disappear through the back with it.
Jilly's gonna
We can
people
see that
watch.
again.
The wine is gone. The swords are
Yeah.
gone.
So
Trusting fools that we are.
Al, do you want to maybe go find a room and settle in for the night?
He kind of looks at you and he looks around at all these people and he's like,
I figured as much.
yeah, Al's kind of a quiet, reserved,
Yeah.
kind of guy who'd probably just be as happy looking at books. Yeah.
How many rooms do we want Al to get?
well, I'm gonna go with Al. I want to see this Raven's Claw Inn.
Okay, so Fragile and Al are going to go to the Raven's Claw. Are the remainder of you just going to kind of hang out in the tap room here? Wait
I
for them
think
to come back?
Calavera will hang out. Yeah.
Sure.
It's like Ronwin definitely wants to try some of that potatoes stuff
Yeah.
because she's hungry.
Yeah, there's a big kind of feast buffet laid out. So if the four of you want to find a table and set your drinks down and get some food, have at it. And then Fragile and Al are going to make their way to the Raven's Claw. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's cut to that. So Fragile, it's easy enough to find. You exit the front door of the Lucky Loot, and you find yourself staring at the path. If you go to the right, you'll go back to the guard shacks. If you go to the left and follow the path forks, and to the left will take you to the Raven's Claw. To the right, you look over there, and there's two huge of these stone pillars, black stone, and then there's a wall with a gate right in the middle of it that kind of connects the two pillars, and then in between the two pillars are three round buildings, and then kind of across, and they're across from the Lucky Loot. If you follow the left fork, it takes you right to a three-story, again, wood frame building, and it's built up against this big, huge stone column that rises, and you can see it's got lamps and torches hanging all around, and it goes up. It's got to be 100 feet to the ceiling of this great cavern. And then you see in this building that there are these gnarly looking, almost like just obsidian black claws or thorns that seem to have, they're right up through this building, and you can see the tips of them kind of pop out the roof. And there's this beautiful patio outdoors. It looks like there are windows with rooms on all three floors, and then you can see little balconies that stick out around various sides of that huge stone pillar that go pretty high, and that looks like those are actually rooms.
Is there an obvious place that would be like a reception desk?
Yeah, you would just go in the main entrance. There's kind of a gabled, covered porch, and there's kind of this little sitting dining patio with some shrubbery around it, kind of out front, just off of the walkway up to the porch. And you can enter in there, and there would be, kind of a receiving area, if you will.
Yeah, well, Al and I will walk on up.
Very nice.
I'm going to make sure that everything that I have that reflects Raven is showing.
Okay. So you enter, and this place is less rustic than the loot. You know, the loot was all wood frame and all that, and it was clean and everything, but you can tell it's perpetual party town. It's well used, well worn. The floors are worn. This place is a little more polished. I wouldn't say fancy by any stretch, but it's definitely less sports bar and more lodge. A lot of nice wood paneling, tongue and groove, some wainscoting here and there. And you walk in, there's certainly right there in front of you a reception desk and a human male dressed in a kind of a blousey shirt. Looks pretty fit. Has a dagger on his hip. Looks to be maybe late teens, early 20s. Short, dark cropped hair, dark sparkling eyes. Steps forward. I'm Sigmund. Welcome to the Raven's Claw. And smiles very pleasantly, looking at you and Al.
Hello, Sigmund. We'd be interested in a couple of rooms, one or two, depending on how many fit in each room.
Well, we have...
And maybe some history behind this grand hotel.
Oh, yes. Well,
or inn.
Glad you like it. The Raven's Claw is certainly a highlight of the Enclave. We're very proud of our building. It's named after the three bits of grindle root that you see that have shot up through the building when the grindle root came and just
Grindle root
through the I don't know if you noticed, but it looks like kind of a raven's claw almost sticking out of the roof. That's the grindle root. You've not heard of the grindle root?
No, no, we're new. What is this Grindelroot?
Oh, well. No, I mean, well, the gnomes named it Grindelroot. They believe it has something to do with a god or some such that they call Grendel. But some 200 plus years ago, the mountain was these spires and spines just shot up all over through the mountain, and some of them destroyed caverns and laid waste to lairs and buildings, and some of them in this case just shot straight up through this building, and then it was repaired around the spires. This is of course much long time before I was here, but yeah, the Grendel root, yes. No one's 100% sure where they come from, but a lot of things died when the Grendel root came. Entire caverns were destroyed, and other caverns were laid open that weren't known to be there. If you spend enough time here in the Enclave, you'll hear the stories. But we have rooms that could accommodate one up to 8 people, and we have rooms for 2, 3, and 4. Our best rooms are in the
And
stone pillar back there.
How much are you charging for your accommodations?
A single room per night is 2 gold. A room for 3 would be 4 gold. A room for 4 would be 5 gold. Room for 8 would be 6 gold.
And if we were to put 2 rooms together, would you have any bargain prices for us?
Well, he kind of looks around. Those kind of are the prices. My mother doesn't like, getting off the pricing too much. And he kind of looks a little awkward. But we do, if you stay a week, each room is a gold piece less. Except the single room, then it's a half gold piece less. Or 5 silver.
5 gold pieces. That's getting pricey. 3, 6. That's fine. Let's get 2 of your bedrooms for 3 people.
Okay. Very nice. Would you like them up in the spire?
Well, does it change the price?
No, does not. Everything
Then
here
heck
has
yeah.
everything here has a lovely and unique view, but those are especially nice because they're pretty high up and they're carved right out of the rock.
Who would not want to see this magnificent place?
And how long do you think you'll be here?
So it'd be 42 gold to stay 7 nights.
Let's see. What did we decide? How much did I tell you was for the 3? The Dungeon Master asks.
Wait. It was, for single was 2. A triple. Hold
For
on.
3 was 4. The bedrooms for 3 were 4 apiece.
Okay.
But you said if we stay a week, then
You get them
they're
for
only
3 apiece. And you're getting 2 of those, so that's 6 times 7 is 42, yeah.
And by weeks instead of 10 days. Is that how we're using the calendar here?
That's what he meant, yeah, 7 days a
Okay.
week.
Huh, that's weird. It just 7 days.
But that's not a whole 10 day. Yeah. So does that seem reasonable? We have a nice breakfast in our lodge room in the morning.
Breakfast come with it.
Breakfast is complimentary, yes. And then they put out some snacks during the day. And then in the evening, our guests each get one free beverage of their choice in the evening. Most people get that in the evening because, you know.
How do you tell if it's evening?
He kind of chuckles. Well, we keep track of that here. Like right now, it's about an hour past midnight.
What? Well, so if it's an hour past midnight,
It's late.
all right, man.
Are we still paying for the
All
whole
right.
night? I don't think so. I'm not there, but that's horrible.
So I'm assuming Al's gonna want to go up to his room.
Yeah, I think he's probably ready to read, rest.
Yeah,
Because you guys are still
he'll
nursing.
probably ask after all the libraries.
You guys are still nursing wounds from your spider encounter.
So I'll head back over. I will head back over to the Lucky Loot and let the crews know where we're staying. Give them the room keys.
Okay. Yeah, so he asks for everybody's name so that he can put it in the register, or you can write it here, just your names. I don't need a lot of information, but we like to collect the names of our guests.
I'll let Al take care of that.
Okay. He kind of looks at you. Okay. And he starts writing. And I don't know if you're paying any attention, but he writes 6 names that aren't yours. Like he just made up 6 names. Okay, and then he heads upstairs. And you're going to go back to the loot, correct?
I think Mike is frozen.
I think he has. It's hard telling because he's already ethereal looking. Whoops, there he goes. Yep, I think Mike just dropped off the internet, but he'll be back. Okay, so back at the Lucky Loot. It's, people are carrying on and telling tales and drinking, and you see Cloud and Bert working diligently, keeping the place going. Folks are feasting, and again, you see all manner of folk here. Races, genders, some even you're not sure. Like Cloud, it was very, you really don't know. They didn't present either male or female, but it's a very diverse crowd, and the whole place is just having a good time. And you all have been around to enough taverns that at some point someone's probably going to get in a fight with somebody, and you don't see any of that happening here.
Bronwyn is going to still try and find out what anybody knows about how that loot works, because that's nagging her how that works.
Okay. So you're going to ask a few questions of patrons about the loot? Yeah, you get some of the folks say that they that it's a magical statue. But a couple folks kind of pull you aside and say, if you go up there and look closely, that's no statue. That's a halfling adventurer that's been cursed by an ancient worm. Go look at his face closely. Tell me if that's an expression of joy or
she already
pain.
looked at it.
It was.
She's like, yeah, I already looked at it. I don't think so.
It was quite an expression, like intense, and it's hard to tell. If you look at it, you're like, oh, now that you mention it, he does look kind of uncomfortable.
Magical
Yeah.
statue it is.
Yeah.
Do they know where it came from?
Nobody seems to know. It's been here a long time. It's always playing music, sometimes louder than others. But yeah,
She's
that's the story you get.
she's also definitely interested on who the local smith would be.
Ah. A couple people make reference to a dwarf that you're going to want to talk to, um, named Balon the Beardless. They kind of refer to him as sort of the unofficial elder of Deep Delver's Enclave. He would know if you want to talk about smithing and things of that nature.
Yep, and then she's just, gonna fill up, finish her milk, and then, probably head to the room and go to bed.
Okay. Anybody else doing anything inside the Lucky Loot? And they do tell you, Ronvin, that you can find him across the way at the Dragon's Fangs.
So the Raven's Claws and the Dragon's Fangs, and there should be one more, huh? That just sounds too cool that there's not 3 different ones.
Well, there's a number of buildings here. I mean, it's a small, like a settlement, a village.
It's just because they have such a, extremities names.
Well, and you've heard of the Ever Shady Bazaar that Cloud Willisper referred Rue to.
It's just, the Raven's Claw, the Dragon's
Yeah,
Fang.
I got you.
I don't know, the Griffin's Paw? Don't know.
Well, let's do this
Silence
since
I'm
Mike
gonna
is
shut up now.
since Mike is having tech issues. Let's take a quick tech break, stretch break, and we'll bounce back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
to meet, Wiley.
All right, we are back from our break, and Mike has decided to rejoin us, having made his second saving throw against technology.
Gremlins.
So, Rowan Titus said you should look for a particular individual in Deep Delver's Enclave named Ion of Vayer. Ayaan of OF, capital Veyr. I'll put it in the chat.
Interesting name.
He feels like that is probably the individual who, to whom that dagger should go.
Well, the rest of us are kind of sitting in the tavern, like, while everyone else is doing their socializing, getting rooms and stuff. Galaver's just kind of like sitting there, like, not quite like hunched in on herself, but like keeping herself small and out of the way. And she's just like, we should probably be looking for the Ion person that we. Do you think maybe they are here? And she's just like looking around at the crowd, kind of in awe.
It might be, but I think we'll have an easier time finding them asking around at the bazaar tomorrow, probably.
Probably there's a lot of people here. I don't know if I've seen this many people in one spot like this. It's kind of incredible, isn't it?
This is quite a place.
And at times you'll see that, you get that group of 8 that seem to be the guests of honor. You see them stand up and kind of demonstrate combat things and, kind of telling their tales of what happened on their expedition into Black Claw Mountain. And, people will be like, yeah, they cheering and backslapping and carrying on and so forth.
Are there other places that have celebrations like this?
I've not seen anything like this place. I don't know.
I think I enjoy it here a lot. It is loud, and there's a lot of people, and they do keep bumping into me, but the rest of it is incredible. There's so many different kinds of people. I mean, not that that's anything new. I know there's that many different kinds of people out there.
Reminds
She just
me,
kind of laughs, takes another
reminds me
drink.
some of Neverwinter, where I grew up. There was always a lot of different people coming through there.
Yeah, and like I said, you've seen all manner of humans, demi-humans, shapes, sizes, genders, ages even. Again, a lot of young, and by young I mean children, enjoying the feasting. Wooden swords, kind of playing and running around.
What do you all think our strategy should be when we talk to this Ion person? We just tell him what we brought straight up and see what they say, or
Well, that is what we are supposed to be doing, right?
yeah, I mean, yes, we're supposed to be returning it to him, but we also don't know how this dagger came to where we found it. I don't know. Maybe we could try to find out first what kind of a person this is and what they're about before we just hand it over.
Well, maybe we don't hand it over exactly, but I don't know why we shouldn't be talking to them about what it is, because I mean, if this is where it is supposed to be coming back to, well, are you worried that maybe like they might have been the person to send it away in the first place?
Possibly. Maybe this is some kind of, I don't know, scam
Well,
that they pull to send things off to other places and stir up trouble.
well then maybe if it is supposed to be that we're supposed to bring it back to this person, maybe it is supposed to be sent to these places in the first place.
I'd like to
Maybe
know
that's
how
a
it
part
got
of
sent
it.
there.
I don't really know why we would try to be, what is the word? Suspicious about it. As,
Yeah,
as far as
maybe.
I can tell, this person, I mean, hopefully they know better than us what to do with it. Because I don't even know if we're the sort of people who should be holding on to this for a long period of time. Which sounds kind of rude, but well, I don't know.
Have we seen Gareth around at all anymore, or is he just gone?
Yeah, you haven't seen him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably we'll just eat and hang out for a while and go to bed before too long. So late.
That is true. I can't really tell how late it is.
I don't know, but I feel like we walked for a week today.
Yeah,
Oh, it wasn't.
as you're all sitting there, the day is kind of sinking into your bones, man. You're tired.
Are you doing alright aside from the tired? Gears, you didn't get hurt, did you? I don't think I saw you get hurt.
Damage.
Was the thing yes or a no because you cut out in the beginning?
Oh, no damage.
It's good. Drew, do you need any more healing up? I have a little bit left.
I think it's nothing that a good night's sleep won't take care of.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little cranky.
What is
Okay.
our goal? What is our goal with this knife? Destroy, dispose, discard.
I think we were just told that it belongs with him, right?
I agree with Rue. How did it get to our place? What guarantees do we have it does not return?
I'm gonna do the Rue thing and look around to make sure nobody's listening in on this
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah. Do the roof thing. I believe that involves a perception roll.
It's 12.
Okay. I mean, people are so absorbed in their own conversations. Just looking around, you don't notice any. As you scan the room, the only thing that jumps out at you is odd. Now that you've been here for a couple of hours and you've kind of assimilated into the vibe and so forth. The only thing that strikes you as a little bit odd is you see two female. By elven standards, they look to be late teens, and they are very dark-skinned elves in fine robes, each with a little circlet of gold in their beautiful long hair that's flowing back. Very, very similar skin tone to the dark elf that attacked you down in Shadow Reach. And they're sitting with what looks to be maybe a table full of friends, talking away, having a nice time. That strikes you as odd. But beyond that, you don't see anybody skulking in the corner, drinking suspiciously, looking, you don't see like Aragorn, Strider, anything like that.
Okay.
So then what? How do we decide that, we start asking questions, and if we don't trust him, then what do we do with the dagger?
Depends on why we don't trust him.
And at what point do you decide that you do trust him or not?
What are we trusting him to do? Hold.
I don't know. You're the ones who are bringing up all these questions. I'm just adding more questions onto it.
I don't think
Don't
it's
ask me to have answers.
I don't think it's so much a matter of whether we trust him. I think it's a question of learning the story behind the dagger before we turn it over.
Maybe we should all rest before we make any decisions anyways. I mean,
From Inspect, did you find any good food?
potatoes. The potatoes are really good. Mhm.
I have found that to be true in the past, yes.
She's kind of in a carb heaven, like trying to.
Yeah.
Hi.
Food coma.
It takes a lot of work to carry that armor around,
It's like
coward as it is.
It's like I'm full. I think I'm gonna go to bed. You guys staying?
Food coma.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm staying. There's just so many people here. And then Calavera lets out just this huge yawn.
Okay, so are you guys going to go over to the Red Claw Inn and retire for the evening?
I don't have an answer
Yeah,
for that.
I guess.
Perfect timing. Thank you,
We don't have an
Siri.
answer for that.
Oh, you heard that, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, man. Not sure what happened there.
That's
Long
weird.
press on the home
Ashton's
button.
sensitive.
So you can't count on her for an answer. So what would the party like to do?
I guess we collect our things and go to the Raven's Claw Inn
Okay.
as opposed to the Red Claw Inn.
Yeah,
Oh, is that what I said? I'm
Calavera-
sorry. I'm a little.
Calavera kind of lingers for a little bit, just still looking at like the huge array of people, like in absolute awe before she like follows along.
Yeah, that's fair. It's
Yeah, I don't think Rue leaves before Calavera does.
okay. Rue, are you gonna get your items?
Yeah, I'll get those and take them back to the room.
Yeah, as soon as you set the pouch up on the bar, Cloud walks by with a bunch of tankards and kind of raises an elbow and catches your eye, and then a couple of moments later, Bert comes from nowhere with your gear and sets it down on the bar. I do hope you'll be joining us again.
Certainly, definitely.
Kind of smiles, and I hope you've enjoyed yourselves this evening. I presume you'll be staying over at the Raven's Claw.
We are, yes.
Very well. You'll like it
Have
there.
our tankard as well.
Oh, yes. I apologize. He goes in the back and gets the cask and sets it up on the bar. There you are.
Much appreciated.
Well, please.
I will set the bag of gold down in the bar and then add a couple more gold to it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Please come see us again maybe tomorrow.
We will certainly do that.
Very well. And he steps away and heads down to the other end of the bar and jiggers around with something. Looks like he's maybe trying to fix something under the bar.
Yeah. All right.
And you head over to the Raven's Claw Inn.
Ravenclaw.
So you make your way out the front door of the Lucky Loot and turn left. Fragile has no trouble leading you there.
I
Across
didn't
the
even know
way.
I was back with them.
Across the way, you see the walls that are attached to the spires um, that kind of surround this small compound of three round, squat buildings. And then there's two of these at the entrance to the first round building. There's two of these black, jet black, like obsidian spires that just stick up like thorns. And there's a carapace of a large exoskeleton hanging via some scaffold using the two fanged looking spikes as support hanging over the entrance to these three round buildings. And you make a left turn and you take the left fork instead of going over to the Dragon's Fang across the street, Dragon's Fangs, and you go to the Raven's Claw.
Is it a carapace? Does it look like a spider carapace? Or...
Much bigger than a spider.
Oh.
Almost looks like I don't want to describe it. Let me see here. Somebody roll intelligence or nature.
Nope.
I'll give it a shot. It's a 12 on nature. I don't know if anyone else
18
is
on
looking.
intelligence.
Yeah,
Right.
Ronvin probably wouldn't know given your localness. Just always spending your time in your dale. It's big. It's like a shell of something large. It almost has a bony kind of beak point, and you can see some eye holes in it. And then behind it, it has another carapace. And it's big. And it serves as a covered entryway. And it's kind of suspended with some ropes or thin wire between those two of those jet black spires, thorny spires, and then outside the three buildings are the huge stone columns that the walls are attached to. Yeah. So you make your way over to the Raven's Claw Inn, a very handsome timber frame wooden 3-story building that's backed right up against a huge stone column, and you can see the little balconies and windows, the lights glinting, and this column goes all the way up and to the 100-foot high up into the ceiling, and the windows stop at about 50 feet high. And you enter, and you see the young man who took care of you earlier, Fragile, working behind the counter, and he smiles and nods as you all make your way up to the rooms. And what they've got for you, if you go up inside you have this carved archway that's all polished and smooth that enters into that stone column, and it's big, this stone column. It's hard telling how far across it is, maybe 80 feet, 60 feet at the base. It's big. And there's a carved spiral stairway inside, and you can see doors and openings and, like balconies, and there's like 5 levels of rooms. And your rooms are on the 4th level. And you climb wearily up the polished carved wooden stair with the ironwork for a railing and make your way to your rooms. Whoever's going to be in Al's room, you find him in there. He has a fire going in the small fireplace. And the rooms it's bizarre. Everything is carved out of the inside of this giant stone spire column. And the rooms are fairly roomy. They're not huge, but they're big enough for 3 of you. And they're nice wooden beds with thick straw pallets, quite comfy. You would say this is better than the average, traveler's inn that you would encounter around Faerun or around the Dalelands. This is probably a little nicer amenities or appointments than the Teshford Arms. And the rooms have windows overlooking. Both your rooms are side by side, and they overlook the cavern, like over the cliff.
Well, Fragile won't care whose room she's in, but she is going to see if she can find a hot bath before she goes to sleep, and a place where she can say her prayers to the Raven Queen.
Hmm. You do find there's signage pointing people toward a bathing portion where there are like stalls, areas where you can be private and have a bath. There's also a large, like a steam sort of situation going on in a kind of a public bath um, arrangement. And there are all manner of places in here, Fragile, where you could sit, whether it's outside, inside, out on the balcony of your room, you know, even in the stairwell, the spiral stairs, I should say, that overlook the center of that cored out stone column. I mean, the place is and it does have a ceiling at about 60 feet, right? Like it's a five stories of rooms, and then it's solid rock again. So it's clearly been hewn and carved out of this huge. A lot of rock has been moved to create this.
Okay, I will go find one of the private baths, and I'm going to uh, clean myself, clean up my gear as best I can, and I'm just after I find a place to pray, I'll go get some sleep and get my 8 hours of rest.
Okay. Rue, Calivera, Gears, Ronvin, anything you all are doing?
Sleep off the carb coma.
Yeah, I'm just gonna clean up and get to bed.
Okay.
Yours will just power down and not power down, but rest and keep watch.
Okay.
Yeah, I think once Calavera ends up taking a bed that's comfy and feels like safe enough. The fact they've been walking for a lot and she has a -1 to Constitution knocks her out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing
It's
you're all pretty tired, but yeah, anybody that you've got a low con like that, you're pretty wiped out. You're as tired as you've probably ever been. Yeah.
as per usual.
Okay. Yeah, so you all can click the magic long rest button on D&D Beyond, and you get to enjoy the full effects of a long rest, including everyone leveling up to 4th, right? Nice.
57, I think.
Yeah. And you all sleep very fitfully. The beds are comfy. The rooms are roomy enough. Each room has a small fireplace. Has the windows overlooking the cavern. And we'll say it's next morning, which by your Faerunian calendar, the Hepter calendar, Harpter calendar, it would be 31 Flame Rule, midsummer.
Good to know.
And it will be the next morning.
Julie wakes up feeling super refreshed, smelling a little bit of cinnamon and frankincense. And she'll head downstairs and find some of this complimentary food
Mm-hmm.
they were talking about.
Sure. And you find hard, crusty breads, sweet breads, dried meats and cheeses, some dried fruits, various like spreads that you could spread on the bread. It's a cold breakfast, but it's good. The food is good quality. It's tasty. It's fresh. I mean, aside from the dried things, because, well, they're dried. But yeah. And it's all there's what they refer to as the lodge room, and there's it's all kind of laid out there, and there's a few other folks in there eating and talking. There's coffee on the hearth, about what you'd expect.
Calavera's probably already up. She got up early as usual, and she is looking just gently disgruntled, but sitting with food already.
Okay, so Fragili's up, Calivera's up. Anybody who looks outside, you'll notice it seems daylightier out. Like last night, it felt like illuminated darkness, but today it feels like daylightier than that, which is like, okay, because you're inside a giant cavern.
Is there much bustle out there outside?
There's some folks moving about. Yeah, people hustling here and there. It's not a bustling city per se. But it's, yeah, there's some people moving about.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep the things that we bought here for now.
Yeah, you can lock your rooms.
In our room.
Yep.
Yeah. And then join everyone for breakfast.
And I think you would all find that Al was already down there. Maybe sitting by the fire, maybe writing, reading. And he gets a smile on his face as you each one by one begin to find your way down to the lodge area. And has a big open, with beams in the ceiling open to the roof of the second floor in there. There's a small, understated, nice wood bar area in one corner and some tables. And then the rest is more like seating pods. And there's a couple of big fireplaces. There's windows out overlooking the cavern. There's windows looking across Deep Delver's Enclave. It's very nice. Again, very clean, very tidy, very well maintained, polished, sanded wood, some stone surfaces for like countertops and things. It's very nicely appointed. So is everyone come down to
okay?
the lodge?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Runwin is probably coming like a big old kid, like morning. You guys sleep okay?
For our first night in a new place, it was all right.
All right. What's the plan aside from eat?
Should probably go take the dagger over to this Ayan person so that we can, not have it just out and about in our hands or something.
All right. So dagger. Probably find a spot. Did we leave the cask of mint wine at the place?
We picked it up.
No,
Alright,
it's up in our room.
Yeah. We gotta go and see where you wanna sell your swords and see if we can do. Or should we talk to that Smith dude who seems to be one of the elders? Maybe he could get us a coffee, a deal. Because we're supposed to set up a trade deal, right? Because I heard them talk about Baylor the Beardless. He's the smith, and he's supposed to be like an elder. Maybe he's a good place to stop.
Yeah, we can certainly talk to him.
But first, yeah, let's get rid of that dagger. And Al probably wants to find a library. He always wants to find a library.
He smiles and nods. There's one here.
Of course.
It's just down the way.
Of course, he knows where the library is.
I mean, I wouldn't mind checking that either, but we gotta get everything else out of the way first. What's for breakfast?
I've already got a plate of food in front of me, so you can kind of see the dried breads and the meats and everything that Fragili's piled up, and she's got a pretty good sized pile. She's hungry. She's got to
Bacon?
resupply her
Oh,
energy from healing up last night.
Yes. Is
I don't
there
know.
bacon? I want bacon.
Who doesn't love bacon?
Everything's better with bacon. Because pigs are dirty. She's gonna get herself some food. She's very clearly not making sense before she ate. She had some kind of pick me up in the morning.
So this guy that we're supposed to meet, this Aaron or Aaron, we're not just dropping the dagger with this guy, right?
We were talking about this last night. I think we should try to find out what the story is before we just hand it over. Maybe we tell him that we heard about a dagger that came from here, but not tell him immediately that we have it.
It's not exactly the easiest thing to hide. We have it in a big wooden box that we're carrying around with us. I don't see why we need to be all sneaky about it.
Hmm.
But if we want to be sneaky, we can be sneaky.
No, I will certainly defer to your judgment, ma'am.
Terrible decision, honestly. I say.
I'm torn. My queen wished us to rid this relic from Faerun, but how if we just give it over, do we know that it's gone for good? So I agree. We need to see if we can find some story on this, and we could go talk to this guy, or I don't know, maybe Al could put some of his library skills to work. And maybe there's something in one of these libraries that could help us too.
How do we know we're not introducing the same problems that we had in Dagger Falls here?
We don't.
Maybe a compromise is in order. We are upfront with Anne, tell him what we know, tell him what happened, but not give him the dagger until we get the story.
Tell him we wish to return it to its home or its owner.
Or destroy it.
I like their thinking.
I imagine that would be very difficult.
Probably.
Alright, do we know where this Ion person is so we can just go do this and then figure it out?
Yes. How about we go there and we take his measure, and if he's shady, we ain't telling him straight away.
Oh, do we find
That
him?
works for me. I think we can go ask around the bazaar probably. Seems
Well,
like
I'm
it is.
betting there's stuff on the way where we can, talk around and see if people know him and what they say about him.
Does the innkeep know?
Well, did anybody ask him?
Gulliver just kind of stands up and she'll go to find the person who looks like they're the innkeep. I don't know if she met them, and she'll just go ask them. If
Okay.
she can find them.
Yeah. Fair enough. So you go out to the kind of the reception area, and you see a lady behind the counter. Human, female, very broad-shouldered, well-muscled, wearing not armored or anything, but wearing what you might think to be traveler's clothes. Very clean and neat. And she's tending to some paperwork, and she looks up and smiles and says, "Yes, may I help you? I'm Mila. I own the Red Raven's Claw. Why do I keep saying the Red Claw?"
Well, hello, Mila. I'm Calavera. I stayed there last night. It is a very nice place.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad.
I was I was wondering if you could help me find where someone might be in the Enclave. I'm a little new here.
Oh, sure, sure.
I'm looking for someone named Ion.
Oh. And she kind of gets a puzzled look on her face, kind of looks at you. You mean Ion the Veyor?
That is who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Or Ion of Veyor?
Yes, I think so, yes.
I think you might find him. He can be difficult to locate, but your best chance would be in the bazaar. But he's not always there.
Okay. Well, where else might he be if I can't find him there?
That's a good question. He tends to be found when he wants to be found. And she kind of smiles.
Okay.
His booth, his stand there is, she kind of thinks for a minute, sort of a onion-shaped. Kind of has a strange globe above it, made of wood and stuff. It's rather fancy for the bazaar. But yeah, so I think if you spend enough time looking about, you'll eventually run across him.
Okay, could you tell me what he looks like? Because I haven't actually met him yet. I know that I'm supposed to be looking for him. I've heard of him before.
She kind of regards you again and looks at you thoughtfully.
Please.
Well, if you don't know what he looks like, then you've not met Ion.
I haven't. That is what I said.
Yes, but if you... Yes, well, it's funny you should ask. He's about... Stands about... And she kind of, and she's standing there behind the counter, and she's probably a good 5'10". Very fit, and she holds her hand up probably a good 8 inches above her head.
Yeah.
He's always dressed beautifully, the finest silks and wools with sometimes even precious metal threads woven in or embroidered. I don't know where he gets his clothing, but it's beautiful. Usually a cape and festooned and so forth. It's odd. So he stands about, he's too bipedal, and she kind of stumbles over. Okay, so he looks like a tiger. Do you know what a tiger looks like? A large animal of cat.
Cat. I do know cat. Yes.
Yeah, with the kind of the white, beautiful fur and beard, long whiskers, and then orange and stripes. Very fearsome looking. But I think you'll find him to be quite interesting.
Okay, so I go to the bazaar. I look for the onion that has the large orange cat in very fancy clothing.
Right, but he's a man.
I don't think anybody's ever said that sentence before.
He stands on 2 feet. He stands on 2 feet, so he's not quite what you'd expect. What's that?
Okay, well, thank you so much. That is so very helpful, really.
Of course. Will you be staying with us long?
I'm not quite sure yet. We haven't really discussed it too much.
Very well.
If we come back tonight, could we renew our rooms again?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Did we already pay for the whole week?
Did we go for a full week?
You weren't here for that, were you?
Calavera wasn't here for that.
Yep.
I wasn't.
For Geely was. Okay. So you have your description? Be
It's
careful.
kind of vague.
Keep your wits about you. He can be trusted, but he's also a little tricksy. But he gets along well here in the Enclave. Just be careful.
Okay. Alright, thank you. And then Gulliver will make her way back to the rest of the group. She goes, okay, I know where he is. Can we go?
Sure.
Alright, we're going to the bazaar.
Okay, I think right there would be a good spot to put a pause on it. You've gotten your
Put a pause
location
on it.
description of Ion of Vayer. And the stream went down for a brief moment. I think it's back up. I don't know why it does this, but it just disconnects for a few moments and then reconnects, and we're back. So we're going to wrap things up. So let's just do quick outros around the table so that we can all get our tired selves off to bed. We'll start again with the ladies. This time we'll start with Calavera.
Hi, again, I'm Paige. You can find me on Twitter at KeyLimeCutiePie. I don't really do much on there, but I do just kind of hang out. When I'm not here, I am either working long hours at my lab job or playing along with some of my different home games that are going on. I'm excited. We're still like ramping up to some of the different Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2 games, and like we're doing a lot of like character prep for that. It's so much
Pathfinder's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
Let's keep going around the ladies' side of the ledger. Ranvan.
Hi, I'm Vivesha. You can find me on Twitter as Miss Vivesha, where there's a whole bunch of funny stuff and weird stuff, and sometimes I get personal. On Twitch, you can find me as Vivesha, even though I haven't done much lately, aside from, hanging out on RPG streams. Stream Kitty. Saturdays at 1 p.m. I'm playing at Valdrian's channel. We're playing Emberwind. We still got like a couple of weeks left where I'm like a hard-nosed investigator. And we're still playing Call of Cthulhu in the Wild West every second Tuesday on Uncanny Adventures. And that's about all I'm doing right now. Oh, and I just started my first actual campaign, both that I am DMing myself, and then I actually started, I know. And I started an actual Wizard of the Coast campaign that somebody else is DMing. We're doing The Frost Maiden.
Oh, nice. Cool.
That was my first one. I never played anything else. Invite me to your Strat game. Not played any of the official ones yet.
Awesome.
Had
All
fun
right.
with Strahd.
Great. Yeah, Strahd's a cool one. Okay, Mike Fragili, our last team.
I'm Mike, aka Buckethead Clunk. I am allergic to cats, so this whole tiger person thing is not sitting well with Fragili. So I am still kind of new to this whole online thing, but I am enjoying the heck out of it. Excited to be here playing on Monday nights and looking forward to some of the special stuff that Wiley and Rue have in store for us coming up next month. In real life, I teach, and I wouldn't say surviving. I get to teach in person with my kids, and so I'm enjoying the heck out of my life with that, even with the stress. I am a Warhammer player, and I run my own home campaign. It's kind of a home brew that right now the crew that started in Cormyr has boarded the Spelljammer ship, the Blunderbuss, and are getting ready to travel to a new crystal sphere in search of a cure for the Spellscar in Tilverton.
So it continues. The
Yes.
blunderbuss. Nice. All right, Rue.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, aka Fellowship of the Tables, on Twitter, Fellowship OTT. Wiley, did you get that?
I got that. Didn't get it earlier, but I got it now.
So yeah, online You can find me on Discord. I've been making schemes with our illustrious leader. We are plotting a series of charity events this year.
We are.
So you can find the details in chat.
Yep, we sure are. Very excited about that. Okay. Let's see. I think the last person we have left is Old Gears over here.
Old Gears.
Old Gears. Old Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave, also known as Hey Wilson on the internets. When I'm not here Monday nights, I'm here Wednesday nights playing, what is it? Dragons of Icefire Peak.
Yep.
And I don't know if we're still on hold on that one or not, Wiley, but I think we'll figure that out as we go. And when I'm not on Wiley's channel, I'm playing a couple of home games, one of which is mostly to kill time during COVID. Encourage everyone to stay safe, be well, take care of yourselves, and as one of our other favorite groups says, don't forget to love each other.
Nice. All right, and again, I'm Wiley Hobbit. I'm your host and Dungeon Master, and I thank everybody for hanging out. We did put a little notification in the chat about a Jasper's Game Day charity fundraiser event that we've got, a little celebrity D&D featuring the founder of Jasper's Game Day herself, Fenway Jones, and a couple other good D&D friends. So details are there. Just hit me up if you want to play. And we're going to raid into my friend Carlos at Castle Entertainment. He's running a Greyhawk First Edition game, an adventure of his own creation. And I got to play in it Friday. It's a series of charity events to raise funds for the Cheetah Conservation Fund. So we'll go ahead and raid into there as soon as it goes through. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you next